What is up, YouTube? It's Heretic here, and I am back with another new video. This time we will be finally looking at the Bandit Ring set from Japan. Good chunk of the English portion of the set, known as XY Ancient Origins, has already been leaked onto the market, including from Russian nationals, so actually coming from an official event. But in any case, we're going to look at the Japanese set, and the first one we're going to look at is Vileplume. And this is just a pretty straightforward Stage 2 as far as its attacking abilities go and its stats. The big key here is its ability, Frustrating Pollen, which, like Vileplumes of the past, just sits on the bench and neither player can play item cards. So, it's like a double-sided Trevenant, but the fact that it works from the bench I think does make it more powerful if you get it out. Of course, we are going back to a Stage 2 here. Last time we had a Stage 2 item lock Pokemon played was Gothitelle from Emerging Powers and Legendary Treasures. I do think this card will see play. It's got some support in the set, but definitely have to work to get it out, even if you can do it rather quickly, just having to get the right combo and all that stuff. The attack you're pretty much never going to use, but Frustrating Pollen, just a really powerful ability. I mean, this goes all the way back to Hay Fever Vileplume, that was the Dark Vileplume from the Team Rocket expansion in the Wizards of the Coast days, back in '99, or 2000, whenever that came out. But anyway, still around. Vileplume pretty well known for, in the history of the Pokemon trading card game, for shutting down trainer cards, and this one just continues that tradition. Next card I want to look at is Arados, and once again, just for its ability, another Grass-type evolution. A very low, actually, 70 HP for a Stage 1, but its ability, Poison Nest. Once during your turn before your attack, you may poison both active Pokemon, excluding any Grass-type Pokemon that are in the active slot on either side. This is mainly a combo attacker here. I'll just go right ahead and skip to the next card to show you guys. The card that you want to play this with is Sceptile EX, and that is for that second attack, Assassin Claw, for 1 grass and 1 colorless. If your opponent's active Pokemon is affected by a special condition, this attack goes from 60 damage to 130 damage, adding 70 more damage onto its attack. So more than doubling the amount of damage that it deals. And then, of course, you also have the Sleep Poison attack for 1 grass energy with 10 damage, and a coin flip for inflicting both sleep and poison. And don't mistake this for a new Hypnotoxic Laser variant, because this is not as powerful as Hypnotoxic Laser, but definitely Assassin Claw in combination with Arados, the previous card. Very, very powerful combo there. And then Sceptile EX also has a Mega Evolution, which brings a new ancient trait to the table called Theta Stop, preventing all effects of your opponent's Pokemon abilities done to this Pokemon, and that is huge because of the Crobat line from Phantom Forces seeing a lot of play. The Canadian National Championships this weekend, we saw 6 of 8 Masters Division top 8 decks running the Crobat line, and both Golbat and Crobat having damaging abilities when you play them from your hand, dealing 20 and 30 damage when you evolve them, and this will put a stop to that straight up front. And then for 1 grass and 1 colorless, 100 damage with Jagged Saber, and the ability to attach up to 2 grass energy from your hand to any of your bench Pokemon in any way you like. And then any bench Pokemon you attach grass energy to with the effect of this attack will also be healed of all damage, as you remove all damage counters from each Pokemon that you attach those energy to. 220 HP on the Mega and 170 on the non-Mega, so pretty solid bodies there to work with. And of course this Mega Evolution, as with all 3 in the set, also has a Spirit Link to play it even quicker. So pretty much run over of the grass types real quick, as the last one we're going to look at here is Vespiquen. And this again, just actually for a Stage 1, 2 very solid attacks. 90 HP, very low, but a free retreat. Information Control for 1 colorless, deals 10 damage, and draws your hand up to 6 cards. And for 2 colorless, you basically have the Flareon from Plasma Freeze with Vengeance. You have the same attack here on a grass type, as this does 10 more damage for each Pokemon card in your discard pile, plus an additional 20. So, you know, with a whole bunch of Pokemon in your discard, you can jack the damage on this thing up pretty quickly. Pretty interesting card we have there. The next card we want to look at are actually 3 cards. They're the new Eevee Evolutions, Flareon, Vaporeon, and Jolteon, as these things have pretty nifty abilities: Flare Effect, Aqua Effect, and Electric Effect. And as long as these Pokemon are in play, all of your Stage 1 Pokemon are treated as Fire, Water, or Lightning, the respective type of the Eevee Evolution, as well as their original type. So Flareon will make all your Stage 1s treated as Fire types, Vaporeon Water, and Jolteon Lightning. And so that makes the attacks fairly irrelevant because it doesn't change the energy cost of any of your Pokemon. But, at least as far as the Eevee Evolution's attacks go. But just being able to hit multiple weaknesses on stuff that may be weak to Fire, Water, or Lightning, just, again, very effective. And I could see some decks running the above mentioned Vespiquen or any other number of attacking Stage 1s like Raichu. Just being able to hit additional weaknesses here with this little combo. And, of course, if the Sceptile EX I mentioned and the Mega Sceptile EX do become played and popular, Flareon himself could see a bit of play to be able to hit weakness. And then the other fire type I want to look at is Entei. For 1 colorless energy, we are dealing, or no damage actually, sorry, discarding the top 4 cards of our deck, and any fire energies we find there can be attached to our Pokemon however we like, a bit reminiscent of the old Entei card from Neo Revelation, which had an ability similar to this. And then for 2 fire energies, we are dealing 20 damage plus 20 additional damage for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon, so against a Skyfield deck, this could be pretty powerful. Also, again, just hitting for weakness. If they have a full bench, you are dealing 120, which would double over to 240 damage against anything weak to fire, which is an instant knockout, since Wailord is not weak to fire. So that's it for our fire types right now. And we'll go ahead and go along. The one EX I am not going to go over is Kyurem EX because, look it up if you want. The card is just terrible. At least in my opinion. Next card I want to look at is Mega Ampharos EX, and I'm not a fan of this card, but I'm going to go over it because I do believe it's powerful and will see play. I'm not a fan of it because it has the option to inflict auto paralysis, and if you know me, you know that I feel auto paralysis should not be in this game, but for 2 lightning and 2 colorless, this attack does 120 damage with the option to freely do 50 more damage and auto-paralyze your opponent's active Pokemon. If you do, the repercussion is 30 damage to yourself, which is not that much in the grand scheme of things, as you'll be doing 170 and inflicting paralysis if you do not knock them out. The one thing that makes the auto-paralysis to me not quite as bad is the fact that you are doing 170 damage, so chances are you're going to knock out just about anything you hit with this. And it does need 4 energies, 2 lightning and 2 colorless to accomplish, meaning a 3 energy card attachment at the very least, due to double colorless energies compatibility. I do believe this card will see play, however, unless it's hitting a 180 EX or a Mega Evolution, it is pretty much always going to OHKO. So there is that, knowing that the paralysis won't be quite as much of a lock as something like Excelgor, where it deals less damage and can stun them, and then you put something that can just move all the damage out, like Dusknoir was played, or now Absol from Roaring Skies, and just kind of manipulate the board that way. Definitely a little more interesting combo here, I think, but definitely tougher to pull off. The next card I'm going to go ahead and look at. A real quick glance over Unknown, because I think that this card is really peculiar, if anything. The artwork is awesome, by the way, but the ability Last Will, once during your turn, if this Pokemon is on your bench, you can discard this Pokemon and all cards attached to it to draw 1 card, and this does not count as a knocked out Pokemon, meaning no prize cards are yielded. It's interesting. Maybe take the place of Audino post-rotation in, I guess what would become Vespiquen decks instead of Flareon. Otherwise, I don't really see much going on with this. yeah, I feel like the draw power is not quite enough, but who knows? You know, maybe some people will find a use for it. Could be kind of neat. Could also, well, no, actually, you couldn't send it up. Never mind. My bad. So we'll go ahead. Next card we're going to look at is Hoopa EX, the cover mascot from this set. 170 HP Psychic type EX Pokemon with the ability Bandit Ring, or the unfortunately renamed Scoundrel Ring in the TCG. I don't know why they changed that, but whatever. Once during your turn, when you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may search your deck for up to 3 Pokemon EX, excluding Hoopa EX, and show them to your opponent, put them in your hand. So, an EX and a Mega that you can play right away, such as any Grass type due to the new Stadium card that they got in this set, which we will be going over here in a bit. Or a Delta Evolution Mega Rayquaza EX, and you can just drop them down, and, you know, probably a Shaman or something, I don't know, pretty much whatever. But Hoopa EX really not able to search itself just to keep it from breaking the entire format and searching 12 EXs in one turn, but still pretty crazy card. Expect this one to see a lot of play. And the attack for 3 Psychic discards 2 energy attached to this Pokemon for Hyperspace Fury, dealing 100 damage to an opponent's Pokemon of your choice. Really wish it did 110. But, in any case, you know, not a very stellar attack, but we're going to be we're playing him for his ability. So, that is Hoopa EX. And actually, there is a second EX I'm not going to go over, and that is Machamp. If you want to check him out, I guess you could play him with Arados, but that's about all I have to say about that card. I'm not too sold on it. The next card is Mega Tyranitar EX, and this is pretty much your home run hitter of the set. As far as attackers go, it has the new ancient trait Theta Double, which allows it to have 2 Pokemon tools attached to it. Pretty straightforward. Basically says use a Spirit Link, you can still attach a tool. Or if you don't, you know, you manually Mega, put 2 Muscle Bands here. You're not going to need them, but go ahead. And the reason you're not going to need him is because his attack, Destroyer King, for 2 Darkness and 2 Colorless, does 110 damage, which is not a lot, but it does an additional 60 damage for each damage counter already on your opponent's active Pokemon. So with 1 damage counter, you can one-shot any EX, any non-Mega in the game, pretty much, and with 2 damage counters, you are OHKOing every Pokemon in the game. And so, go ahead and play your Golbat, deal the 20 to anything that does not have Theta Stop, and then go ahead and hit it for 230. 230 plus 20 is 250, so good night entire game, unless they're a Safeguarder or a Theta Stopper. This is just pretty much a home run hitter, like I said. You know, just kind of set this thing up, and it is a massive wrecking ball with 240 hit points to boot. Pretty killer card here. Definitely one I'm looking forward to playing. Next card is Sableye, and again, just real quickly, for its first attack, for 1 Darkness, you can choose a supporter in your opponent's discard pile and use its effect as the effect of this attack. Nifty little effect here, probably a 1-of, if anything. Of course, having no weakness is always kind of cool, since we don't see much of that anymore. And I guess they just didn't want to make a Dark type weak to Fairies, but neat little concept here. And the next card we are going to be looking at, just scroll down the list here, sorry. Next card is going to be Giratina EX with the Rebellious Wave ability. Prevent all effective attacks, including damage done to this Pokemon by your opponent's Mega Evolution Pokemon. Pretty powerful, since Mega Evolutions are becoming pretty dominant in the game, and this just stopping them in their tracks. And then for a Grass, a Psychic, and 2 Colorless, Chaos Veil does 100 damage, and during your opponent's next turn, they cannot play any Pokemon Tools, Special Energy, or Stadium cards from their hand. So, again, a pretty powerful ability there. Maybe combo this with Vileplume to stop Stadiums, Special Energies, and all item cards, as opposed to only Pokemon Tools. You could also combo this with Mega Sceptile EX, since one of the 2 energies, or one of the 4 energies in the cost is Grass, and then just finding a way to fulfill the Psychic via either Basic Psychic Energy or Double Dragon Energy. Grass type energy can also can fuel the 2 Colorless if need be. A lot of special energy compatibility here, however, with Double Dragon and Double Colorless for this attack. And the next card we are going to look at is my favorite Pokemon in the game, Lugia. We'll look at Lugia EX, which is basically a new version of Mewtwo EX, 170 HP, and 2 colorless for Aero Ball, dealing 20 damage times the number of energy attached to both this Pokemon and the defending Pokemon. So, just a new X-Ball. Of course, Lugia not being weak to itself the way that Mewtwo was, you know. We don't have to worry about Lugia Wars. I mean, we had Mewtwo Wars, and they were kind of crazy. Personally, kind of nice that you don't have to worry about these things just OHKOing each other like mad. And then for 4 colorless, this does Deep Hurricane for 80 damage, and if there's a stadium in play, 70 additional damage, so 150 total, and discarding that stadium card. With a Muscle Band, you hit 170. Pretty standard number for a lot of EX Pokemon. And so just being able to OHKO stuff is always good. And again, all colorless energy costs, so 2 double colorless energy can get this thing fully powered up. Lightning weakness, as you would expect on a colorless flying-based Pokemon, but a lot of ways to work around that. You know, whether it's another Pokemon you play, or just Altaria from Roaring Skies. Anyway, moving on. Our 2 new supporters in the set, Ace Trainer and Hex Maniac. Ace Trainer, you can only play this card if your opponent has more, or if you have more prize cards left than your opponent. Both players shuffle their hand into their deck and then draw 6 cards, and the opponent, or you draw 6 cards, your opponent draws 3 cards. Kind of a replacement for N, which will be rotating this summer, but, or at least I think will be rotating. I'll get to my rotation prediction here in a couple days, hopefully. But, just kind of a neat little shuffle draw supporter. You only need 1 copy. In most decks, I would think as Versus Seeker will allow you more access. And again, in the 1 per deck supporter line, we can go to the next card, Hex Maniac, which is a supporter that prevents all Pokemon in play, in hand, and in discard pile on both sides from using any of their abilities. And a great way to shut down that new Vileplume. Thankfully, cards like this and Lysander will, I think, enable people to play around Vileplume, which was a bit more difficult when the last time it was in play from the HGSS block. So, I think definitely more options now to counter stuff like that. As we see another really great card, I think, since Garbodor is rotating out as well, just kind of having another way to shut those things down. And our 2 stadium cards, Color Drain City. Between turns, place 2 damage counters on each Mega Evolution Pokemon in play. Nice little concept there. Of course, Megas have so much HP that may not be necessary, and we may just prefer to play a different stadium card in place of that. And Giant Plant Forest, which is really the big one in the set. Each player's Grass-type Pokemon can evolve on the first turn or during the turn that they were put into play, so again, Arados and Vileplume, the 2 evolving grass types in this set, as well as Mega Sceptile EX, just first turn. Bam, 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 bam. Crazy card here, really, basically just broken time space, but only for grass types. Crazy, crazy card. I do expect people to try to make Vileplume decks with this, and I do think it will see a pretty significant amount of play for a Stage 2 deck. The combos here become pretty much endless after that. Really, really exciting to see what some of these new cards are going to do. I don't have much thought for the 2 new special energies. Flash Energy taking away weakness from a lightning type, and Bad Energy dealing 2 damage counters to an attacking EX Pokemon when it hits an active dark type that has this card attached to it. Bad Energies can stack, but as the name implies, I think they're kind of bad. I'll stick with my basic energies with both types, though. And then, lastly, just quickly going over the reprints of Primal Kyogre, Primal Groudon, and Mega Rayquaza EX. I'd consider them reprints, although bad reprints, I guess, or just not as good. Maybe you could play 1 copy if you're running this stuff. And reason being, they have a new Ancient Trait, the same Ancient Trait replacing the previous Ancient Traits on all 3 of these cards, and is called Theta Max, which simply states that when one of your Pokemon becomes this Pokemon, so through evolution, you heal all damage from it. So, I don't really, I'd rather have the built-in acceleration of Alpha Growth, the trainer protection of Omega Barrier, or the accelerated evolution of Delta Evolution, as opposed to having Theta Max, I think, on any of these Pokemon, but I'm sure there's a way we could find maybe one copy in at least one of these Pokemon's decks, since all of them do have decks built around themselves, and 2 of them are still potentially capable of wrecking tournaments, although if Raichu Bats is running around, that presents a bad matchup for both Groudon and Rayquaza, so maybe Kyogre can make an opening? I don't know. Or make a showing. But anyway, that is just a quick overview of Bandit Ring. There are some more cards that are definitely worth looking at in the set. I just wanted to real quick cover some of the ones that I felt would be key players in the format, or could be going into what I assume will be a XY on, or I guess to be specific, Kalos starter set on rotation. Hopefully I'll be able to record another vlog and go a little more in depth on that here in a couple days, but for now, you have my prediction. Officially, Kalos starter set on, I believe, all of the cards from the Black and White block, including up through Legendary Treasures reprints, and the all of the Black and White promo cards will be rotated out of format. My prediction right now. I do believe Kalos starter set will remain legal for what that's worth, regarding maybe some of the exclusive item cards that it might have had, and, you know, the random Kalos starter Pokemon. I just don't see them rotating any of that stuff right now, because I think they do want to make it an XY on or a 6th gen on. So that's my prediction for now. As to whether or not there'll be a rotation in expanded format, I don't think they'll do the next Destinies. I think it will either be Boundaries on or stay XY on. I'm not exactly a guru on expanded format, so I'll leave that one up to you guys to debate what you think is going to happen until something is announced, but I'll go Kalos starter set on, which is pretty much XY on for the most part, as far as the standard format rotation for this September. That's all I got for you guys right now, and I hope to see you guys all very soon, or, you know, this coming weekend at the U.S. National Championships. Oh yeah. We'll see you guys next time. Cheers.